Now, before I begin this review, I want to give a warm shout out to @Quest4Truth 1.0 for their request. I love all 6 of my subscribers, but today, you're my favorite. Please enjoy. You know, I think at some point when we were kids, we all wanted to be a dinosaur, a dog, or a cat. In Tusk, Wallace Brighton got to be a walrus, against his own will. Welcome back, horror fans. I'm Leo, and Bootube Breakdowns is here to save your scary movie night. Right off the bat, Tusk scores a 6.8 out of 10, landing it on the high end of our Ghoul Drool category. But here's the thing. I've already had to undergo an unspeakable battle of life or death with a serial killer just to get this rating. And in a few minutes, you'll see exactly why this film earned its score. If you disagree with my score at the end of the video, be sure to let me know how much you want to travel to Canada. That's it. That's the joke. Traveling to Canada is awful. And tell me all about it in the comment section. Tusk is a dark comedy wrapped in a body horror nightmare following a smug podcaster named Wallace who travels to Canada to interview a viral oddball and instead stumbles into the lair of a retired seafarer with a walrus obsession and a surgical toolkit. What starts as quirky conversation quickly turns into captivity as Wallace is drugged, mutilated, and forcibly transformed piece by piece into a grotesque human-walrus hybrid. Meanwhile, his friends, including a guilt-ridden girlfriend and a French-Canadian detective with the subtlety of a sledgehammer, bumbles their way across the country to find him. The film oscillates between absurdity and genuine discomfort, anchored by disturbing practical effects and a surprisingly committed cast. At its core, Tusk asks a simple question. How far can you stretch a joke before it snaps and takes your skin with it? It's bizarre, bleak, and unforgettable whether you wanted it to be or not. Take Silence of the Lambs, drop it in a vat of maple syrup, and replace the cannibal with a man obsessed with turning people into walruses. That's Tusk. The structure is familiar. Smart-ish killer with a weird hobby, clueless victim, friends trying to piece things together, but the tone swings hard into absurdist horror comedy. Instead of a detective, we get Johnny Depp in a goofy hat monologuing as Guy Lepont, which both helps and hurts depending on your tolerance for absurd tonal whiplash. The story works, but not because it's original. It's just the same cat and mouse plot dressed up in a walrus suit and dare to take itself seriously. Thankfully, it doesn't. The pacing holds together well enough, but the exposition dump mid-movie drags like a sea mammal on land. Still, it's slightly better than average just for having the balls to exist. Story gets a 6 out of 10. The pacing in Tusk is almost there, but it stumbles just enough to be noticeable. The setup is quick and clean. Wallace goes to Canada, meets the wrong old man, and the madness begins. But everything around it starts to unravel. The whole cheating subplot between Allie and Teddy feels wedged in with all the grace of a shoehorned soap opera confession. And then suddenly we're in a different movie starring Johnny Depp doing Quebecois improv. The Guy Lepont scenes are entertaining, but they absolutely derail the tone and tempo the first half worked to establish. 1 minute, we're in a body horror territory. The next, we're listening to a French detective monologue about burgers. It's not broken, just messy. Pacing sits at a 5 out of 10, middle of the road with a few potholes. Now, Tusk doesn't go for jump scares. It settles into your spine with slow, surgical dread. This isn't some demon in the walls or swamp monster with glowing eyes. This is body horror in its most grounded, plausible form. A man turning another man into a walrus, one brutal incision at a time. No glowing goo, no alien virus, just flesh, stitches, and a very patient psychopath with a sewing kit and too much free time. And that's where the fear hits. It could happen. We've all heard stories about the friendly stranger who wasn't, or the traveler who never came back. The story here isn't supernatural. It's just a Craigslist ad away. Sure, the movie leans into absurdity, but the realism beneath the madness is what lingers. Not terrifying in the traditional sense, but deeply unsettling. Fear factor lands a 6 out of 10. Kevin Smith, we didn't know you were like this. And I absolutely love it. Leave it to the guy behind Jay and Silent Bob to blindside us with a story about a psycho surgically converting people into walruses for friendship. Weird. Not only does the killer turn Justin Long into a flippered abomination, but he also casually reveals he made a walrus suit for himself too. Because naturally, every deranged friendship needs a matching set. Johnny Depp as Guy Lepont is an unhinged fever dream of a detective, and somehow his presence works, even if it feels like he wandered in from another movie entirely. The decaying corpse of a previous walrus victim floating at the bottom of the pool, genuinely disturbing, and one of the few moments the film drops its guard and lets the horror breathe. And that suit, Jesus, equal parts hilarious and repulsive, stitched together from lost humanity and stitched sanity. It's the kind of grotesque insanity that sticks with you long after the credits roll. For sheer commitment to its bizarre tone and the absolute audacity of its concept, Fun Factor lands a hard 10 out of 10. Now there's no dancing around it. This ending nailed it. Bleak, cruel, and exactly what a movie like this deserves. Wallace doesn't get redemption. He doesn't get a cure. He gets fish tossed at him like a sea lion at a petting zoo, and the worst part? He eats it. Not out of desperation, but routine. That vacant, defeated face says it all. The man is gone. What's left is a creature that understands just enough to suffer. And then, Allie shows up, and for one fleeting second you see it. The last ember of Wallace buried under layers of stitched flesh and mutilated ego, realizing there's no coming back as he cries in a sound that vaguely resembles, wait for it, a broken man. Nah, I'm just kidding. It sounded like a walrus. In the end, there's no rescue, just endless existence in a cage of someone else's fantasy. It's not just a dark ending, it's psychological punishment. Ending lands a solid 8 out of 10. So that's Bootube Breakdowns' take on Tusk. Averaging our scores gives this movie a 6.8 out of 10, which places it in our Ghoul Drool category. Do you agree with my rating? Scream your score in the comments and tell me what horror flick I should gut next. If this saved your spooky vibes, smash that like, share with your horror crew, hit that notification bell, and subscribe to Bootube Breakdowns for more killer verdicts. Keep it creepy, and I'll haunt you in the next review.